we have to set those foundations. Finding that niche, finding that purpose is going to motivate you. You're going to be able to think longer term. When we think about that bigger picture, we're going to think to ourselves, here I am, I've started out on my journey, or I'm in the middle of my journey, or my journey is in flux right now. I can find where I'm going because I can sit down and nut it out and have a look at what I enjoy. Mentoring with Geraldine is a bite-sized practitioner podcast for naturopaths, nutritionists, herbalists, coaches, and practitioners. This podcast responds directly to the needs of you, the practicing natural therapist. We have interviews during the holiday season and business and mindset support each week, so you'll get the variety you need to enjoy and stay motivated in your practice. Don't forget to subscribe to receive the weekly episodes. And if you want to connect with me, always check the show notes, because that's where you'll find the links to book appointments and, of course, to join the Academy, the membership group, where there's constant connection and community with like-minded practitioners. Now, let's get started. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Mentoring with Geraldine and the Bite Size Podcast. How the devil are you? Well, I've not been great. I've not been well. So if my voice suddenly goes or I sound a bit husky, it's because pretty much month of January, I had an upper respiratory tract infection. I was coughing, pulled muscles in my chest. It was all a nightmare. I took every single supplement under the sun, but it decided how long it was going to last. When I was growing up, my GP actually said, she used to say it was 3 days to get it, 3 days to have it, 3 days to get over it, and add 3 days if it was a rough one. And I definitely got my 15 plus days of that chest infection. So that for me is a reminder, and it needs to be a reminder for us all. What do we do? What do we have lined up to be able to cover for everything? Now, with my podcast, as you know, as I make sure you know, I batch my podcast. So I make sure that I've got a section done, and I've got Ella in the background editing them. I actually don't like listening to myself again. Anyway, so Ella edits them, and with the month of February, we'd already decided that we would be doing, it's the beginning of the year. It's time for a bit of a workbook, and it's time to let's do the month of February. Let's have 4, and let's do this properly so you can be thinking about the year ahead. So I've done a bit of a plan. And the plan is this week, I'm going to be talking about setting the foundations and finding your niche and purpose. Because it might be you already have your niche and purpose, but it's always good to look at it again, to go back, to reassess, to have another look at how things are going in your business and whether you need to change. We all like to segue. We all like to learn something new, but sometimes we don't necessarily need to learn something new or do something new. We might just have to change the way we do it. Next week, creating signature programs that your clients will love. Well, as you know, I have got the done for you, which it's nice and cheap, and you can create that and do that for your clients. But it might be that you actually have all of that content there ready to go, and you just haven't, taken that step forward, or maybe you don't feel ready for it. So we're going to have a bit of a workbook, a bit of a discussion about whether that's the thing for you and how you could implement it in your business. Then week 3, we've got building a support network. So the power of community in practice. And I think that this is huge. I think it's really important that we have people supporting us in our business. They're supporting us as who we are. There's lots of people who are negative Nelly about what we do. And often that's the people closest to us. Now, they're not being rude. They're not being horrible. They're just worried for us. We've got enough of our own worry, let alone other people worrying for us as well. So we actually need a group of people who understand what it's like to be in business by yourself and to try and do it all for yourself. So I think community is really important. So that's going to be the 3rd week. And then week 4, from practitioner to entrepreneur, scaling your natural therapy business, because we do want to scale. What is that other thing that you would enjoy doing that can help you go to the next level? And where is that in your business? Now, it might not be now. It might be that you've got toddlers. So you have to set at a low level of business until they're just big enough. And then the toddler goes to preschool and they get all the illnesses and you still can't scale up. And then they go to school and then you can go, hey, now best foot forward. I can do a few more hours a week. Even if they're off sick, I've got these networks and the support system that somebody else can look after them if they've got a cold. I've got everything flowing. Okay. So that will be week 4. And there's a worksheet to go with each of them, which will then be compiled into a workbook that you can download and use. So let's get on with today. So number 1 in our 4-week workbook and work system, setting the foundations and finding your niche and purpose. Now, do you already have a niche? Do you think that what you're doing isn't giving you the love that you need? Is it that you need to create a program? Is it that you need to start looking at a different group to care for, a different community, a different system? So we need to ask ourselves, what areas of natural therapy am I most passionate about? What is it? So when I came into naturopathy, it was pediatrics. So I had loads of kids. I had my own children. I'd worked in pediatrics. Now, of course, there is the pediatric mastery program so that you can learn all the things that I'd learned over the years as a community nurse, as a community pediatric nurse, and as a hospital pediatric nurse. There's lots of info in there for you. So I felt really secure in what I was doing, treating children, even though you're treating the mother most of the time. Sometimes the father would come, but the majority of the time it was the mother that came with the child. And so you're really treating 2 people, and there's quite a bit to figure out when you niche into children. And yet in a way they're easier because they don't have multiple pathology. They just have one thing generally wrong with them. And so it's much easier. You know, they come to you with tonsillitis, and yes, we know that's a triad, don't we? We know if they've got tonsillitis, that probably there's asthma, sinusitis, eczema, all these things are possibilities. So we have that in our background of knowledge, whereas that child and that mother are like, this kid has tonsillitis. I need the kid to go to school and not be in pain, not be choking, be able to eat anything other than a stewed apple, whatever it is. So what area of natural therapy are you most passionate about? And it might be you're menopausal. And so when I first started out, all I saw were children and menopausal women. And I was just like, is there nobody else out there? Is there no one else in the world except children and menopausal women? And I started doing more and more gut work. And then I worked in the area of guts and I got really good at that. But, you know, we've got an aging population. Where is the money? Who can pay you for these appointments? And how many appointments can we give these people? We do have to think about our passion, but also about paying the bills. We don't do this for the total love of it. Yes, we do it for the love of it, but you've all got HECS to pay. You've all got your education to pay for, and you've got your mortgage, all of the things, cost of living crisis, the whole 9 yards, hey? So what are we passionate about? And what is another area that is maybe a fallback area or something else we can do on the side? Okay. So there's more than one thing that we might be passionate about, and we need to make sure that we've gone through all of them because we want to be at a niche. We want to be able, if you're niched, it's easier to do your job. All right. It's much, much easier to do your job if you're niched. Okay. Because when we niche, we learn that thing and we learn that thing really well. And so we're not doing tons of education and training and learning before each and every client because we've done so much of that education and training. Okay. So what type of clients do you enjoy working with the most? And what unique skills and experience do you bring to practice? We all have unique skills. We all have the other thing. So yes, some people did learn to be naturopaths straight from school, but mostly the majority of us did something else first. So I brought my pediatrics into my business and into what I was doing. What is it that you did? Oh, actually, I worked in business. I was an accountant. Well, all of those people are hitting burnout. We've got to think about all of those people in management there's a whole area there and a whole group of people that you could be caring for if you were in middle management before. All right. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. What was it that you did before that can segue? Is it the people? Is it the environment? Did you work in a health food shop so you know all the products on the shelves? What is it that you do that we can bring into this business? Maybe you were, I don't know, a massage therapist or a beautician. All of these things are still part of what we do now and what we can bring into what we do. Now, when we see our client, we need to think to ourselves, what common challenges do I see in my clients that I love solving? So when I started getting more and more gut clients, I loved that. I loved seeing the changes. They'd start saying things like, oh, my skin is so much better. You're like, well, yeah, because your tummy's so much better. And all sorts of things would be better about them. They had more energy. They were happier. They wouldn't go to the loo as much. These common challenges that they all had meant that I got better and better and better at doing the job. Be able to go, okay, I'm just going to do this, this, and this, and we're going to achieve our aim. Because I'd learnt the area, because I'd done that education, I'd done that training, and I was working with those groups of people. If we could specialize in one area and be known for it, what would it be? And how would you be the thought leader in that area? Now, sometimes we have huge thought leaders in an area, right? For guts, Jason Hollerag, Dr. Jason Hollerag, we go, wow, he's the real deal. And there's lots of other people like him. You will have your own brain crush out there that you'll go, yes, that is the thought leader in this area. So you're not going to be immediately referring to him all the time or whomever. You're going to need to still say your piece and say it well, say it confidently. Just because we have brain crushes out there doesn't mean to say that people won't have that brain crush about us or that want to work with us because of who we are. All right. People work with you because of who you are. You're not nicking anybody else's clients. You're not doing anything to anybody else. If you're not, obviously, if you copy and paste their stuff, then you're copying and you're, and that's rude and wrong. And your clients won't like it when they see you because they will see the disconnect. All right. So what we don't want is the disconnect between what we're delivering, what we're sharing, and what we're giving others. That disconnect, we don't want to see that. We don't want to have that disconnect. We want to show our passion for our niche so that we can define our ideal client and we can refine our niche and not have to constantly learn something new every time we see each and every client. Generalist is great, and there will always be some generalist stuff that you do. I still get referred. I had a message yesterday from a client. She was a child when I saw her. She's now a young adult. And she messaged me and said, she's a personal trainer. I've got a client who needs to see you because you solved all my eczema issues. And I'm like, well, I'm not seeing new clients. I've got closed books. But here's somebody else that I recommend. Okay. So all these people that come back, and yet I really haven't, if I think about it, done any eczema, because that's what she had and that's what her client has, for years. So even though for me, that's now a generalist, these people come because they tell their relatives about you. They tell their friends. And we have to tell people who we see and who we want to see. So imagine that mine was acne. My area was acne. It is not acne. Imagine my area was acne. Okay. And then you go to a barbecue and there's an old fella there. He's 80 and he thinks you're really sweet and that you're still 5 when he saw you last. And he, what are you doing these days, dear? And you'd say, you have your lines ready. I work with young people who have acne and I support them to repair their skin and change their diet. Whatever your line is, it's in the workbook. Don't worry. We're going to work out those lines for you. And when we think about that little old fella, because you could have just said, oh, I'm a naturopath. Oh, yeah, I'm a nutritionist and I help young people. But this old fella sitting there, 85, he probably actually knows quite a lot of teenagers with bad acne. And he might just turn around and say to the nearest one who looks at him with bad acne, oh, you need to go and see blah, blah. because she said she can sort that out. So we have to have our lines ready so they're not just, oh yeah, I'm a naturopath. Oh yeah, I'm a nutritionist. We're able to say, this is what I do. This is who I see. And you can tell everybody else for me. So we have to set those foundations. Finding that niche, finding that purpose is going to motivate you. You're going to be able to think longer term. When we think about that bigger picture, we're going to think to ourselves, here I am. I've started out on my journey, or I'm in the middle of my journey, or my journey is in flux right now. I can find where I'm going because I can sit down and nut it out and have a look at what I enjoy, what I'm passionate about, who I like working with the most, and who I don't like working with. That's one part of finding your niche, is understanding who you don't want to work with, who you don't like, who you are not interested in, so that you do not advertise to them by mistake and start getting those people coming in. The really obvious one there is a white woman wearing a turban, and she looks very grey, white pasty. Now, we all know that that is a woman with cancer. It doesn't matter that every other racial group, every other age group, male and female, get cancer. That is like some sort of advertising blueprint for cancer. And I do not see cancer, right? I do not see cancer clients. I worked as a nurse when I first qualified in oncology, and I decided that wasn't for me as a naturopath, right? But this absolute media icon, maybe media portrayal of who has cancer. So if I started putting those photos up in my social media or on my website, people go, oh, she works with cancer. I'll book in with her. And we don't want that person. So we do not advertise that person. If I didn't want to see children and babies, they wouldn't be in my social media. Okay. There wouldn't be a picture of a child or a baby or anybody else, because I don't want to confuse anyone to think, oh, I could book in with her, book my child in with her, because that's not what I want. Okay. What I want is more mentoring. What I want is you guys to contact me and make an appointment so we can have a chat and I can support you and help you to build your business and be the practitioner that you want to be. So hopefully I've really motivated you, and for you to get the workbook, it's really easy. You just go to my website. The link is in the show notes. Otherwise, it's www.geraldineheadley.com. And then you scroll down the front page, and at the bottom there are the podcast downloads. It's a click button. You'll see it there. And all the previous podcasts that have had downloads and workbooks are all available in there as well. So I'm going to leave it there today. I hope you have an absolutely brilliant rest of day, no matter what you're doing. And I look forward to catching up with you really soon. See ya. Thanks so much for joining me today. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast for the weekly episodes. If you'd like even more support and learning, then the Academy is for you. Here you'll find part 2 of the herbal discussions, more clinical learning, and case studies to support your clients in practice. Bye for now.